What's up, people? Magnus loses his third game in the Norway chess in just 5 rounds, this time against wesleyso. So let's analyze the game. In the previous round, he beat Gukesh, and I thought that he is going to come back, but in the next round, wesleyso completely outplayed him. Okay, e4 by Magnus, e5 by wesleyso. Wesleyso always plays e5, knight f3, knight c6, and avoiding the Berlin defense, Magnus goes for Italian, bishop c4, knight f6, d3, bishop c5. That's the main position. And here Magnus goes for the very popular idea nowadays, because at this move all the life was considered that it's not so good. But now with the computers, this move is gaining more popularity, and okay, the machine says that it's equal, but have many interesting ideas, and the position is very unbalanced. So this is being so much employed in the last year. So if you play e5 with black, you should know something, so how to face this move. Okay, I think that this game is very instructive because wesleyso play all the natural move, and later in the middle game I'm going to show all the plans to face the bishop g5 idea. h5, bishop h4, d6. The move order by black doesn't matter so much. c3, a5, short castle, knight d2, a bishop h7. That's the typical setup, and black is going to push g5 one day. You can push d5 before, but okay, this move order is completely fine. And here Magnus Carlsen made a side move, who is a4. It's completely playable, of course. Rook e1 here is the main move. But okay, in some lines the rook is going to be good place on f1 to push to play, for example, king h1 and f4 and something like that. So a4 is an interesting idea too, of course. Rook e1 is the main move. After rook e1 here we should play g5. We shouldn't be care about knight g5 because we can just take, and now the typical defense is king g7, queen f3, rook h8, rook e3, and king g6 is the other normal move, but the best move here is rook h6, giving back the exchange and giving back some material to eliminate the d5 bishop. That's the typical defense against the sacrifice on g5. And if bishop goes back, now knight h7 is the main move. The idea of knight h7 is play h5, h5, h4. That's the idea of knight h7. For example, d4, h5, h3, h4, bishop e2, and queen f6. That could be a normal line. Or for example, knight f1, h5 is another possibility. But okay, Magnus Carlsen goes with a4 for this game. Interesting move too. And of course, wesleyso responds with g5, bishop g3. And here I want to stop in this position because black have many different ways to play the position. One of them could be bishop d4, for example, being the f3 knight, and if h3 just bishop h5. This is interesting because now, okay, this bishop is close to the king and can defend more or less, and pin this knight is a good idea, using the fact that white is not able to play g4 now with the bishop on g3. So bishop g4 is interesting. Knight h7, as with in the position with the rook on e1, is the normal move. Here rook e1 is bad because h5 and h4, and in this early position black is fine because the move of a4 is a little miss of tempo. So white here wants the knight on f1 to can came here fast and to use the squares. So in this position, if you play with a4, here rook e1 have no so much sense. It's better to play king h1 here. And now king h8 is normal by black. But knight h7 is a normal option. Knight e8 is another good move, coming with the knight to e7 and to e6 one day, and with the same idea of free this queen to advance this pawns. Rook e1, h5, h3, h4, and now g4, and black is fine. The other possibility here is queen e7 is another normal move, but with the kings on g8 and on g1 is not the best move. Here was stronger to play first king h8, and after king h1, now queen e8 is the key. The difference with the kings on the h file is that after rook e1, the normal move, and knight h5, here knight d5 doesn't work because knight h3 gains with a check. If you play queen e7, first rook e1, now knight h5 is not possible because white have this tactic. And knight here is not check, so white have time to play knight x6 and winning material. So there are We are seeing that black here have many ideas. Other typical move used to be to play knight 97 followed by knight g6, but it here doesn't work because d4. But okay, 97 knight g6, if white having d4 is always a good move. Okay, but wesleyso play king g7, another good move, consolidating the position, putting all the pieces close. Maybe one day he can play rook h8 followed by h4 or knight h7 followed by h4. He have many interesting ideas. But okay, king g7 is just trying to improve the king position. Rook e1 by Magnus, improving 2, and now g4. That's the other interesting plan of the position, to play with g4, with the idea of playing knight h5 and knight h4. We are seeing that here black have many plans, and all of them are fine. g4, knight h4, and now black comes with the knight. But the idea of knight h5 is not take this bishop, because this bishop is bad placed on g3. The idea is play knight f4. Because okay, you can think that white can take on f4 too and change his bad bishop, but now we're improving the pawn structure so much with it takes f4 in some positions. Or with queen takes f4, depends. Knight f1, queen g5, good move. The idea is came to f4 and improving the queen. Knight e3, and now important move, bishop takes e3, because if not, the knight is landing on f5 and it's going to be very annoying. So it's important to trade now this knight now that we can. So bishop e3, good move, rook e3, and finally the knight lands on f4. Till here the game is being very good, very correct for both players. Queen e1, bishop e6, till here very good, f3, h5, holding, bishop e5, and now good move, knight e7, coming to the king side with the knight, where is the fight is taking place. Everything is happening in the king side, so we should gain with pieces in the king side. d4, logical move of Magnus. wesleyso have some space, yes, some advantage in the king side, so black Magnus will react in the center, d4. Now knight g6 was slightly better, more logical, but okay, f6 is playable too, of course. Rook d1, knight e6, rook d2, rook f7. Looks like the game is more or less quiet for the moment. And here Magnus Carlsen play king h1, who is not the best. Here he should start to trade pieces with f takes, and d5. d5 is interesting because if the bishop goes to d7, now you can trade the bishop and the f5 square is very weak. And if black plays bishop c8, now the a8 rook is trapped and cannot be developed. So d5 is interesting, and maybe one day white can break with c5. But this d5, or I prefer d5 directly without show the cards of f takes g5, f takes g4. And we keep the tension here, and let's see where the bishop is going to go. So very interesting move, d5, king h1. Here the best response was knight takes h4 and queen h6. But okay, king h7 by Magnus is by wesleyso is normal move. And finally Magnus play d5. Bishop takes. Here, okay, he's giving the 5 square, but at least the knight is not coming with a tempo, so I prefer bishop d7, just giving the 5 square, but having the possibility of activate the rook. Because with the bishop on, the problem of the bishop on c8 is that the rook is very passive. So I think that wesleyso prefer to just give the 5 square, but just can activate the rook, because okay, we can fight against the 5 square with our knight. So here the position is equal, it's more or less balanced. One guy have a knight on f5, the other guy have the knight on f4. Magnus have more space in the center, wesleyso have more space in the king side. So the position is more or less balanced. 97 by Wesley, trying to trade the f5 knight, bishop h4, queen g6, and here was time to return to g3 by Magnus Carlsen and accept that the position is a draw. After queen g5, just repeat and make the draw, because white position have nothing more to offer. The problem is that Magnus Carlsen, okay, he thinks that okay, he's the best player in the world, and he tried to win all the positions, but this position is not. Yeah, you can try to win this position with white, because if you go bishop g3 is the only option, because black is threatening to take here, and if you take, okay, here black have no problems. But here bishop g3 was necessary, returning to the other position. The problem of knight g3 going back with the pieces is that now the h4 bishop is very bad place, and black is still having his knight on f4, so you are going back with white, and black is still having his very active knight, and the bishop is bad place on h4. Queen h6 by Wesley, with the idea of course of playing knight g6. Here knight f1 was the best option, trying to bring back the bishop to the life, and maybe trade the bishop for the h4, for the f4 knight. So knight f1 with trying to bring back the bishop is the best move. Magnus Carlsen tried to find counterplay in the queen side, but it's very slow. Now rook f8, defending the f6 pawn to play knight g6, rook b3, and now very good move, knight fg6. You cannot play knight eg6 because the queen is trapped. So knight fg6, now taking the bishop, and black is going to push his pawns very fast. Now f5 with the initiative without defend this pawn, just playing fast. And here black is better. It's so clear that black have the initiative, have all this space. The queen is open, the rook is going to be open. This knight is returning here or jumping here. So here white position is very good. Okay, f5 by Wesley, queen e1, and now f takes, trying to open the position. Queen takes, knight g4. Now let's see that black have an incredible knight. The rooks are coming to the f-file. The queen is in open diagonal, so black have very pleasant position. e3, rook df7, rook f2, queen c1, king g2. And here wesleyso take with rook takes f3. Okay, it's a natural move, but king g7 just unpinning the knight. Unpinning the knight was stronger, improving the king. Or you take f3, because here if white goes to h3, here black have this very strong move, rook f4. And if king is 1, just king g7 and black is winning. Okay, rook f3 looks natural, but have a good defense by white, who is king h3. And here the king is more or less safe. And now, okay, this queen is very active here, and it's going to be difficult to eject this queen. It's true that black have a pawn up and look like this king is being open, and okay, black have a pawn up, but it's not, the queen e4 compensate more or less the position. It's not easy to, and white position, sorry, is very solid. White have all his pawn protected, and the e4 queen is very strong. So king h3 was a strong move. Instead of that, here Carlsen miss and play rook takes f3, and then the game is completely winning for black, forcing the queen straight, and now this knight's endgame is completely winning by wesleyso, who make a very good game, perfect game by wesleyso. Maybe his only inaccurate move was rook takes f3 here, who looked like he's winning, but okay, king g7 was slightly better. But okay, here they have time trouble, so rook takes was a very good game by wesleyso. First equalizing good with black with this plan of king g7, g4, knight h5, and knight f4. A very good plan by wesleyso, who equalizes the game, and later, instead of accept the draw, Magnus Carlsen tries to win, and wesleyso used this moment very good to win the game. So great game by wesleyso, and who is the, I don't know if he's the new leader or he's close to be the new leader. No, he's close to Firuza, who is still being the leader, but third loss by Magnus Carlsen. So let's see if Magnus Carlsen can come back in this tournament. Bye bye.